Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to SFF180. It is Monday morning, October the 3rd, 2022, and time once again for the mailbag. October is here, my favorite month, personally. Spooky season is coming up. And what is going on? A mailbag exactly 1 week after another mailbag? What's happening here? Things haven't been this way for a long time. I know, it's great, isn't it? I know that the mailbags are not as popular as they used to be, probably because they have not been able to be regular the way they always were, weekly. People could count on them to be able to tune into the channel and, watch a new mailbag. And so they've kind of fallen off. So if you missed last week's mailbag, which, viewing stats would seem to indicate you probably did, yeah, go check that one out after this one, because a whole bunch of really good books have come in lately, both last week and this week. So we're going to get into some of these. Pretty exciting. I can't count on, I can't make any promises about just how, weekly the mailbag is likely to be throughout the rest of 22, but maybe into 23 we'll start seeing it get better again and better, hopefully, right? But fingers crossed. Anyway, don't really have any announcements except to say, okay, horror plans for this month. I don't think I'm going to be able to quite do like the 12 days of Halloween again. Exactly that way like I was hoping to do. I'm going to have a scheduling conflict sort of around the middle of the month that's not going to interfere with the channel and in a big way, anything like that. But it probably is going to, interfere with my ability to do sort of like the daily for, a week and a half with horror stuff. But what I am planning instead is just for like a ton of really awesome book coverage, horror fiction coverage to happen on Halloween Day itself, and probably some with, within the days preceding Halloween and into November. I am going to be pushing back against the Christmas onslaught that always happens like immediately after Halloween and sometimes before Halloween. So we're going to keep Halloween going into November, keep spooky season throughout the fall where it belongs, right? But anyway, that's enough yammering. Let's get into the books and see what we have this week, shall we? So quite a bunch of stuff is coming in, and I think I'm going to start with some new arrivals from the Hachette group. So there's a few books in that box, and the first two I'm going to show you are these brand new hardcover editions that Orbit is now putting out of the original Witcher novels. I think they're going to be doing the entire series now with these new hardcover editions. Fantastic art on the cover, I should mention. They are doing illustrated covers, which I'm grateful for. I'm sure you've probably seen the most recent trade paperbacks they've done that just sort of have, like a Photoshop embossed Witcher logo on it, and like that's it. This whole philosophy of we don't do art anymore on book covers. Well, Orbit, they're doing it on these, and I'm very grateful for that. Covers by different artists. This one, for Blood of Elves, new edition here. This is by Richard Anderson. And this cover here, I believe, don't fall, don't everything fall, no. This one here, for The Time of Conquest, is by Magali Villeneuve. I hope I pronounced that properly. So now it looks like we're getting different artists for each cover. And it looks like they're starting with the novels. They haven't done, the two collections. So, new Witcher hardcovers are beginning from Orbit. And next we have this one from the Red Hook imprint. This is a new horror novel by Andy. Excuse me. Why did I think it was Dan? Anyway, Andy Marino. This is called It Rides a Pale Horse. And you see a pale horse right there. Let's see what this one says. Peter Larkin, Lark to his friends, is a local hero in the small town of Wofford Falls. The one who went to the big city, found fame in the art world, and then returned home to settle down. He's the kind of guy who becomes fast friends with almost anyone. His sister Betsy is talented as well. And eccentric, unlike Lark, she keeps to herself. When Lark meets with a fabulously rich client, it seems like a regular transaction. Even being met at the gate of the sprawling, secluded estate by an intimidating security guard seems normal. Okay, that's how evil stuff begins, though, right? Yeah. Until the guard plays him a live feed. Betsy, being abducted in real time. Oh. Lark is informed that she's safe for now, but her well-being is entirely in his hands. He's given a book. Do what the book says, and Betsy will go free. Oh dear. All right, well, here it is. I'm going to try to work this one in for spooky season reviewing, but It Rides a Pale Horse by Andy Marino, now available from Red Hook Publishing. And next, let's go ahead and start in on the white envelopes, shall we? Here comes a bunch of stuff from Macmillan and Tor. And we're starting with this one. This is a physical arc from Tor.com for Lost in the Moment and Found by Shauna Maguire. This is the 8th novella, short novel, if you will, in the Wayward Children saga, which I need to catch up with. And I'm planning, I think, like a single video where I'm going to do like up to the current one to sort of get caught up with. And so this one, I guess, continues. I mean, they're linked, but they can each be read individually. It says, Antoinette has lost her father. Metaphorically, he's not in the shop, and she'll never see him again, the shop where lost things go. But when Ancy finds herself lost, literally this time, she comes to realize that however many doors open for her, leaving the shop for good might not be as simple as it sounds, and stepping through those doors exacts a price. And it's a story that tells us that childhood and innocence once lost can never be found. Oh, that's kind of dark. Well, but these books tend to be kind of dark. I've so far, I've read the first 3 of these, and I remember I didn't really like the first one. I thought the second one was extremely good, and then I thought the third one was all right. So they seem to be, at least in my assessment, what I've read so far, they're wildly up and down, very variable. In terms of quality, but who knows? I'd like to catch up with these and see how the series progresses. So, Lost in the Moment and Found will be out in January from Tor.com Publishing. And next, here is one in from Nightfire. This is a new hardcover of a book called Loot. The author is Jennifer Thorne. And this one, I think, is just available, and I have already started it, by the way. I've started it several days ago, a little less than halfway into it, so, yes, I can definitely promise, that you can count on, a spooky season review, a Halloweenish review for this one, coming out very soon. But this is folk horror. It is set on an island off the British coast called Loot, and the background is that there is now currently a global war going on. And yet, Loot has always managed it throughout history to sort of kind of keep itself safe from the troubles of the world. Like even the boys from Loot who go off to fight in the war, they might get injured, but they'll never die, right? And so there seems to be some kind of a protection over the island. And in true folk horror, tradition, we find out what this is exactly. And so, yes, so this is a folk horror, as you might be able to tell, and it is available now from Nightfire. I'm getting to where I'm losing track in my mind of all the different, Tor and Macmillan imprints that I have to spend a second and go what was that from Tor.com? No, that one's Nightfire. The other one's Tor.com. Okay, anyway. Well, this one is none of those. This one is a little package in from HarperCollins. Oh, okay. Well, this is interesting. This is Night of Demons and Saints. The author is Mena von Prague. And this is the second book in her Sisters Grimm series. First book, I believe, just called The Sisters Grimm. Voyager released that one in hardcover, but it looks as if the new one is going straight to trade paperback. So, interpret that as you will. But this will be on sale on October 25th. From Harper Voyager. What can I say that isn't spoilery? I'll just say that it's a dark contemporary fantasy that skillfully blends love, obsession, and dark magic. Fans of Neil Gaiman, Deborah Harkness, Alice Hoffman, and Naomi Novik will delight in diving into this dark, delicious story focused on sisterhood, dark magic, and the devastating consequences of desire. And then it goes on to spoil a few things about book 1. And so, yes, the second book in von Prague's Sisters Grimm series is a dark, intriguing novel that is bound to blaze a trail in the fantasy storytelling realm. Okay. And it will be out on October 25th from Voyager, Night of Demons and Saints. Okay, so now it is time to get into a bunch of books coming in from Random Penguin. So probably looking at a bunch of Ace. No, well, not Daw anymore, but, well, we'll just see, won't we? And we're starting off with this one in hardcover from Ace. This is House of Hunger. This is a new sort of gothic horror novel by Alexis Henderson, who made a big splash a couple of years ago with a book called, gosh, what was that? The Year of the Witching. That's right. Come on, Thomas. But anyway, this is just out, just new. Very lovely cover. Let's have a look and see what this one is all about. It says, Wanted, blood made of exceptional taste. Must have a keen proclivity for life's finer pleasures. Girls of weak will need not apply. Okay. A young woman is drawn into the upper echelons of a society where blood is power, in this dark and enthralling Gothic novel from the author of The Year of the Witching. Marion Shaw has been raised in the slums, where want and deprivation are all she knows. Despite longing to leave the city and its miseries, she has no real hope of escape until the day she spots a peculiar listing in the newspaper seeking a blood maid. Though she knows little about the far north, where wealthy nobles live in luxury and drink the blood of those in their service, Marion applies to the position. Okay. I mean, I guess it must be a prestigious thing, to have rich people drink your blood. What a metaphor. Gosh, where am I? All right, in a matter of days, she finds herself the newest blood maid at the notorious House of Hunger. There, Marion is swept into a world of debauchery, and at the center of it all is Countess Lizavette. The Countess, who presides over this hedonistic court, is loved and feared in equal measure. She takes a special interest in Marion. Lizavette is magnetic, and Marion is eager to please her new mistress. But when she discovers that the ancient walls of the House of Hunger hide even older secrets, Marion is thrust into a vicious game of cat and mouse. She'll need to learn the rules of her new home, and fast, or its halls will soon become her grave. Well, you should have thought of that when the job application says we want to drink your blood, right? But anyway, yeah, sounds very, dark and melodramatic, but also probably very atmospheric and cool and bloody, right? And this is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson from Ace Books. And also from Ace in hardcover, we've got this one right here. This is The Witch and the Tsar. The author is Olesya Salnikova Gilmore. Okay. And this one looks to be, again, sort of a Russian-inspired fantasy, perhaps, in the vein of The Bear and the Nightingale and others like it. Let's see. Author was born in Moscow, raised in the U.S., graduated from Pepperdine University, and so on and so forth. All right. Happiest writing historical fiction and fantasy inspired by Eastern European folklore. Okay. So, synopsis. As a half-goddess possessing magic, Yaga is used to... Baba Yaga coming back. Well, maybe not that Baba Yaga, but still, boy, really making a comeback, isn't she? Yaga is used to living on her own, her prior entanglements with mortals having led to heartbreak. She mostly keeps to her hut in the woods, where... Okay, it is, that Yaga. Right? I guess there's only so many Yagas. Where those in need of healing seek her out, even as they spread rumors about her supposed cruelty and wicked spells. But when her old friend Anastasia, now wife of the Tsar and suffering from a mysterious illness, arrives in her forest desperate for her protection, Yaga realizes the fate of all Russia is tied to Anastasia's. Yaga must step out of the shadows to protect the land she loves. All right, I kind of like where this is going, tying it into the history and all of that. As she travels to Moscow, Yaga witnesses a 16th century Russia on the brink of chaos. Tsar Ivan, soon to become Ivan the Terrible, grows more volatile and tyrannical by the day, and Yaga believes the Tsaritsa is being poisoned by an unknown enemy. But what Yaga cannot know is that Ivan is being manipulated by powers far older and more fearsome than anyone can imagine. And then the author weaves a rich tapestry of mythology and Russian history, reclaiming and reinventing the infamous Baba Yaga, and brings to life a vibrant and tumultuous Russia where old gods and new tyrants vie for power. All right. This actually sounds like it could be exciting as all get out. So, The Witch and the Tsar, available in hardcover from Ace Books. Okay, yet more Random Penguins coming in. And here, of course, we have just in from Del Rey, the third book in Naomi Novik's Scholomance trilogy. This is the Golden Enclaves. Bit of a controversy surrounding these books since the second one just won the Lodestar Award, which is the YA award that is handed out at the Hugos. Despite being not a YA novel, it is an adult novel, and yet it won the Lodestar, and Naomi Novik accepted that award, even though she herself, I understand, has repeatedly stressed that this series is not YA. So, a lot of people kind of side-eyeing that, but that, of course, has nothing to do with the merit of the actual books themselves. It's all about whether or not you do consider them adult or YA. They're definitely being marketed as adult. And this one, again, I don't really want to give away any spoilers, but it's all beautiful and gold stamped and lovely, and it's the Golden Enclaves from Del Rey Books, and I believe it is available now. And finally, among the Random Penguin incoming packages, here's something that I completely was not expecting. This is from Vintage Books, and this appears to be a kind of contemporary weird horror novel, right? It's called Mother Thing, and the author is Ainsley Hogarth. And listen to this. This sounds pretty wicked. It says she's dead in the basement and she's refusing to leave. When Ralph and Abby Lamb move in with Ralph's mother, Laura, Abby hopes it's just what she and her mother-in-law need to finally connect. After a traumatic childhood, Abby is desperate for a mother figure, especially now that she and Ralph are trying to become parents themselves. Abby has just so much love to give to Ralph, to Laura, and to Mrs. Bondy, her favorite resident at the long-term care home where she works, but Laura isn't interested in bonding with her daughter-in-law. She's venomous and cruel, especially to Abby, and life with her is hellish. So the mother-in-law from hell trope. When Laura takes her own life, I guess that's not a spoiler if it's on the back cover, her ghost starts to haunt Abby and Ralph in very different ways. Ralph is plunged into depression, and Abby is terrorized by a force intent on destroying everything she loves. To make matters worse, Mrs. Bondy's daughter is threatening to move her, from the care home, leaving Abby totally alone. With everything on the line, Abby comes up with a chilling plan that will allow her to keep Mrs. Bondy, rescue Ralph from his tortured mind, and break Laura's hold on the family for good. All that requires is a little ingenuity, a lot of determination, and a unique recipe for chicken a la king. Ooh, okay. Yeah, this sounds like, kind of an A24 movie in the works, right? Doesn't it? That kind of like really freaky sort of, weird fiction take on domesticity, right? And, the getting back at the mother-in-law. Sounds actually freaking awesome, to be honest with you. Mother Thing. Think I'm going to read this one pretty soon. It is by Ainsley Hogarth from Vintage Books. All right, down to the last few, and this one is actually, I'm not 100% sure. Just looking at the box who this one is from. So, I guess we will find out together. Ooh, nice. Okay, this is in from MCD, which is also Jeff Vandermeer's publisher. I've already showcased this one, in fact, a few weeks back on the Mailbag as an ARC, but here's the finished copy in hardcover. This is a debut novel by a guy named Ray Naylor, who has already published some really, really good short fiction in magazines like Asimov's. And so I've been kind of curious to see where he's going to go, like with his debut book, and here it is. It's called The Mountain in the Sea. And so let's refresh all of our memories by reading what it's all about. Look at even the edges have this design on them. What a cool addition. It says, rumors begin to spread of a dangerous species of hyper-intelligent octopus that may have developed its own language and culture. The marine biologist Dr. Ha Nguyen, who has spent her life researching cephalopod intelligence, will do anything for the chance to study them. The transnational tech corporation, Dyanima, has sealed off the remote Acondeo archipelago, where the octopuses were discovered from the rest of the world. Dr. Nguyen travels to the islands to join Dyanima's team, a battle-scarred security agent and the world's first android. The octopuses... Octopi. Isn't it octopi? It should be octopi. I mean, I'm not going to belabor the issue, but, it's a thing. Octopi. It's a cool word. Anyway, these guys with the tentacles hold the key to unprecedented breakthroughs in extra-human intelligence. The stakes are high. There are vast fortunes to be made by whoever can take advantage of the octopus's advancements, okay? And as Dr. Nguyen struggles to communicate with the newly discovered species, forces larger than Dyanima close in to seize the octopuses for themselves. But no one has yet asked the octopuses what they think or what they might do about it. Right. A near-future thriller about the nature of consciousness. Ray Naylor's The Mountain in the Sea is a dazzling literary debut and a mind-blowing dive into the treasure and wreckage of humankind's legacy. Okay, what can I say? I mean, it's original, right? And fascinating sounding. Sounds very much like it is moving in Peter Watts territory, too, a little bit. The Mountain in the Sea from MCD Books by Ray Naylor. I think available now in hardcover. And I'm going to wrap up this episode in time for spooky season, get us in the mood, with a couple of new horror releases from Titan Books, which is very exciting. This first one here is called The Butcher. The author is Laura Cat Young. This book has praiseworthy quotes from folks like Rachel Harrison and Haley Piper and Ali Wilkes, right? This looks to be a historical horror, so let's see what it has to say for itself. When Lady May turns 18, she'll inherit her mother's job as the butcher, dismembering Settlement 5's guilty residents as payment for their petty crimes. An index finger taken for spreading salacious gossip. Oh man, the internet would no longer exist. Think of it. Anyway, a foot for blasphemy. Well, that's bad. No one is exempt from punishment. But when her mother refuses to harm a child, the deputies come to the house for retribution. No one is above the law, and Lady May watches as they murder her mother. Within 24 hours, now alone in the world, Lady May begins her new job, but a chance meeting years later puts her face to face with the deputy that murdered her mother. Now Lady May must choose. Will she flee and start another life in the desolate mountains, forever running? Or will she seek vengeance for her mother's death, even if it kills her? Well, I think I know which way she's going to go with that decision. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a book, would we? But this is The Butcher, and by Laura Cat Young, and it's available in trade paperback from Titan Books. And finally, we have a new Titan horror anthology. This is called Isolation, the Horror Anthology. And so I guess you can tell what the theme is all about on this one. It says, lost in the wilderness or alone in the dark, isolation remains one of our deepest held fears. This horror anthology from Shirley Jackson and British Fantasy Award finalist Dan Coxon calls on leading horror writers to confront the dark moments, the challenges that we must face alone, survivors in a world gone silent, the outcast shunned by society, the quiet voice trapped in the crowd, the lonely and forgotten screaming into the abyss. Experience the chilling terrors of isolation. And so, let's have a look at the stories. The authors include Nina Allen, Laird Barron, Ramsey Campbell, M.R. Carey, Brian Evanson, Owl Going Back, Gwendolyn Keast, Joe Lansdale, Tim Leben, Kin Liu, Michael Marshall Smith, Jonathan Mayberry, A.G. Slatter, Paul Tremblay, Lisa Tuttle, and Marion Womack. Wow, all right then. So, and there are some others as well. I just didn't want to read the whole list, it's very long. But Isolation, the horror anthology from Titan Books. All right, and that's all we got for this episode of the Mailbag. You guys know the drill. Light up those comments. Let me know which of these looks most interesting and exciting to you, and which you would like to see me prioritize for review. But otherwise, if you enjoyed watching, please slam that like button, share the video far and wide with all of your SFF reading friends, and above all, please subscribe and click the bell if you have not done so. That is how the channel grows. You can also support the channel at my TeePublic store and at my Patreon, where occasionally recruits into Wink's Army get to see early access to some of my videos if I finish them in time, finish them early enough. But mostly, the thing with the Patreon is that I use that money to pay Matt Olson, who is my wonderfully gifted and talented channel artist who does all my thumbnails and things for me. So that extra help is greatly appreciated, very much so. I want to thank all the rest of you guys for being the very best viewers in all of BookTube, and until I see all of you next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy reading.